That's not the case. Take a listen to what Schrager and Jeremiah were discussing during a podcast that Peter Schrager hosted, where they did a full 32 round one selection. And when the Jets were on the clock, here's the back and forth discussing what they're hearing the Jets are going to do at number 2.
And at number 2, the New York Jets, you're on the clock.
So I've gone back and forth on this a couple times. So on the first, I think I've done 3 mock drafts. The first 2, I had him taking Bailey. Then I flipped to Reese and thought, okay, well, everything with the Jets having all those picks in 27, it doesn't feel like it's a crunch that they're trying to make the playoffs here in 26. It's pushing towards 27. And then he's more of the 27 pick. He's not as further along. Bailey's a much more polished pass rusher. He's the more known commodity. Whereas with Reese, you're playing the upside game and hoping what you're going to get. It reminds me so much. And we were together, I believe, on this draft, which was the Hutchinson Trayvon Walker debate.
Yeah, what a debate!
Because it was Hutch is the better pass rusher right now, and you had Trayvon Walker, who's this physical freak, who's not there yet, but you're hoping he's going to get there. Now, both of them have been really good pros. Hutch has been an elite player when he's been out there and been healthy. It feels like that in that scenario, the better athlete, even though Hutch is a really good athlete, went ahead of the more polished player. And that's why I was kind of leaning in that direction. But we were talking full disclosure before we launched here today. We're kind of hearing the same thing, that as we're coming down the home stretch here, this feels more like Bailey, bird in the hand pick versus the upside pick with Reese.
Bird in the hand. And that's like, we don't know what these guys are going to become, but you see it on the tape and there's substantial empirical evidence that David Bailey might be the more pro ready now. Is that what we would say?
More polished. He just has a game plan as a rusher. He's been doing it forever, playing off the edge. He's very comfortable with it. And and much like with Hutchinson, I don't feel like you're like sacrificing all this athleticism. This guy ran 4.5 flat. Like, he's got big time juice. He's super strong, super explosive. He's just not quite as loose of an athlete and as dynamic of an athlete as Reese. But he's a better pass rusher. I don't think that's in dispute.
Okay, Robby, you've been a huge Arvell Reese supporter. You're not a fan of David Bailey. What do you make of those comments there from Peter Schrager and Daniel Jeremiah?
I think it's more mainstream, casual nonsense. They're just talking about pass rushing. That's it. And, Schrager, I remember vividly, he had the Jets taking Tyler Warren last year. So we reached the point of the offseason where just craziness ensues. I don't buy it for one moment. Would I be shocked if they drafted him? No, but it would tell me something. It would tell me that maybe the final decision maker is someone different, and I would wholeheartedly disagree with it. I think also with Jeremiah came up, Ozzie Newsome, Baltimore. You hear a lot of these guys talking. When you hear buzzwords and things like, staying true to the gospel, what's the most important thing? Quarterback, pass rusher, cover corner, left tackle. I think it's just dilution. It's over analyzing. And it gets to the point where you think about so many different things, like that comparison with Trayvon Walker and Hutchinson. Such a ridiculous comparison. Ridiculous. It doesn't even come close to competing with what's happening this year with these two guys.
Explain.
Reese and Trayvon Walker are extremely different. Hutchinson and Bailey are extremely different. If anyone watches Hutchinson's college tape and watches Bailey's and thinks Hutchinson is as one-dimensional as Bailey is, you're high. You're high. It's completely ridiculous. When you're getting taken off the field in the Big 12 on rushing downs, what the hell is going to happen at the NFL level? Do we have to go beyond that? Honestly, seriously, it's beyond absurd. I think it's an idea of a philosophy and a theory that keeps this narrative alive, as opposed to what's actually seen on tape. Now, that's not to say Reese isn't bust proof. I never met this kid. I don't know what's in between his ears. I don't know what his learning curve is. That's a major part of it. But, the comparisons, this never worked out, that never worked out. If you're going to talk about that, talk about other stuff. Like, when was the last time a Big 12 edge worked since the Big 12 turned to this new conference? That's a nonsense talking point. Yet I have not heard that once in the mainstream. How? If you're going to bring up comparisons with Hutchinson and Trayvon Walker, why are you not also bringing up the Big 12 edges have disappointed since the Big 12 changed and it's more powder puff than ever? Explain that to me.
So in terms of David Bailey, if he's the pick at 2, Robby, what does that look like defensively? Like, is Will McDonald on one side, Bailey on the other? What is the defensive alignment?
So
and is part of their thinking? Go ahead. You know what? I'll follow up after you answer that.
Here's the best case for drafting Bailey. You have Osai and Enigbari as your base edges. Then on passing downs, you bring in Bailey and McDonald, and you have 2 passing down threats in the sub. D-line rotates. So, in theory, that could work. But the problem is, passing downs, getting after the quarterback, it is few and far between the number of reps you get out there. And that doesn't limit the offense from running in that situation. We talk about hiding. It's okay if he can't stop the run or hold up at the point of attack. No, it's not okay. Even if he is a sub package guy, because we saw last year offensive coordinators target Will McDonald at the point of attack, down in and down out. And all everyone ever sees at the end of the day are the sack numbers and the pressure numbers. Horseshit. That's not all that matters. It's like thinking James Harden is as good as LeBron James in his prime because he's putting up the offensive numbers. No, James Harden crippled his team defensively. And if he was just average, they could have gone a lot further. It's akin to that. It's that type of attitude. You have to scout. You have to, I think, ideas and theories and old or new ideas are bleeding into what you actually see on tape individually. And in that case, it's not even close to me. Reese he's not a sure thing, but he's prime rib where Bailey is flank steak while you're eating it high. It feels good in the moment. It's flashy. It's beautiful. But then the next morning, you're kicking yourself in the ass because it was a stupid decision.
I mean, why do you think part of the thinking is Glenn knows he's on the hot seat, and if he takes Bailey, who's more ready to rush the passer right away, it's like, hey, we hit on that pick.
Just reports saying they were leaning Reese.
Well, the betting odds.
There were reports. Who was it?
Rich Media wrote a story, and the headline was Jets leaning Reese, but it's not clear if it's like, hey, we're just looking at the betting odds, we're just interpreting what Aaron Glenn said last week, right? Like there's a lot of smoke this time of year. And the big thing I wonder, is this being put out there? So, maybe a team that really wants David Bailey come up and make a trade with the Jets, or to try and kind of get people to think the Jets are going to go Bailey when they're actually going Reese. Like you have to take all that into account when we're talking about basically 2 weeks till the draft and this stuff starts to emerge.
Maybe it's just tiring. My God, man, it's know this, if you're drafting Bailey, and by the way, I don't hate Bailey. I would draft him. I just think at the very earliest, mid-first.
Well, you answered Kyle Clifton super chat here. It goes, based on Robbie's thoughts, does he see Bailey as a top 5 pick, top 10?
No. But I think he's more, and again, McDonald and Bailey are not the same players. They're identical in their limitations, in which you don't want them out there every down. They're not great at the point of attack. And I'll bring it up again. He's I would put him in the range of a McDonald. Now, part of that, I think the top 10 class is weak. So I think some guys are getting bumped up. I wouldn't take him off my board. I would much rather have Ruben Bain than Bailey. I'll say that.
So if the Jets took Bain at 2, you're okay with that?
No, Reese. Reese is the guy.
Let's say they're not taking Reese, though. You would go Bain.
It's a good question. I'm going to put out a big board soon. It's a very weak class. I think in general, it's deep at receiver, as it always is. But the top 10 is weak in my opinion. Reese is sort of the outlier where he could do everything and he has a high ceiling. Behind that, it's close. Downs is still high for me, but it's only because of how weak the top 10 class is. So Downs, Tate, Bain are all right there behind Reese, I guess.
Wild Chew says, Daniel Jeremiah said that leaning is similar, meaning that Reese is high upside and Bailey's polished. He never said Jets were leaning Bailey. That's actually false, Wild Chew. We played the clip.
Yeah, no, he said leaning.
Both Peter Schrager and Daniel Jeremiah said they spoke off air before they started recording the annual mock draft podcast they do. and they both have heard from sources that the Jets want Bailey, not Reese. And their thought process could be, let's take the guy who's more ready to rush the quarterback right away. And I think the thinking on that, if they go Bailey, is, hey, Glenn knows that he's coaching for his job. Who's the guy who could perform faster right away? What helps me save my job? Oh, the guy that can maybe get 10 sacks as a rookie. Oh, I don't have a quarterback, but look what we did with the number 2 pick. Now I have 3 firsts and 27 to get my quarterback. Would he give me another year? Look, I took over the defense. This is what we did. Like, all the signs are there for us to turn it around. Whereas Reese, if he has a Travon Walker year 1, you know, a lot of fans are going to say, did we take the wrong guy? Like, that's just how it goes. People will just look at sack numbers.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. But, you know, just based on the 2 players, how complete they are, what they do, what they bring to the table, it's not close. And anyone who thinks it is close, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I mean, why do you think it's not more unanimous on Reese then? Because you're so strong.
Because of the recent history and what scares people. And it also, it's exponential in the Jets fan base because fear is what drives everything. And the fear of, projection as a pass rusher. And when you hear that, and that's real, projection as a pass rusher, projection then gets attributed to his entire game. And that's not the case. In terms of being more NFL ready, in terms of a complete football player, Reese head and shoulders better than Bailey. Pass rushing is the only part of it. So that's one. Hybrid position. That's another thing that scares people, even though that's a positive in today's game. When you could be multiple, when you could do different things, when you could move guys around. So that's 2. Projection, hybrid, and Jets have taken guys who have busted all the time. You got Vernon Golston, Ohio State. I think it's fear that's driving the narrative in terms of the Jets fan base. And even, you know, among NFL draft experts, you know, guys bust all the time, yet we do this every single year. Guys bust every time, yet no one is brave enough to ever be critical enough to say, maybe, you know, it's going to be close with this guy. Everyone's great at this time of year. And, you know, all you could do is watch each guy on tape individually and put out your thoughts. And that's what I'm doing.
All right, Asmaniacs, listen up for a second. No matter what you're watching, whether it's New York sports or any game you didn't plan on caring about, there's no better way to stay locked in than with PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made simple. You're just picking more or less on player projections. That's it. No complicated lineups, no nonsense. Just you versus the numbers. And here's why I love it. Even if it's a game you normally wouldn't care about, once you got a lineup going, you're locked in. Every play matters, every drive matters, every at-bat matters. I've been mixing sports too. Maybe a little football, throwing some baseball, maybe some basketball, and now you've got action across the board all night, and PrizePicks makes it even better with features like early cash outs if your picks are hitting, the ability to mix multiple sports in one lineup, and you can even see what other people are playing and tail their picks. So if you haven't tried it yet, what are you doing? Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use code HMA. That's HMA. And you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, it's HMA on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. I'm in the raffle for 2. We cuts the line with the super chat. He writes in, draft aside, I do not think the Jets have done enough to help Reese, Garrett, or Geno this offseason. Why the heck do we need Sadiq if we had no concrete development plan for Taylor? A couple things on this, Sam. The draft, you can't say draft aside. The draft's a big part of their plan to add playmakers. That's how they approached free agency. You saw guys in free agency get grossly overpaid. Alec Pierce making $29 million a year. So if they add, let's say, Mekhi Lemon at 16, you can't say draft aside. That's a big reason that's a big piece that's going to help Geno unlock the best of Garrett and Brees not have to deal with 8-man boxes. So that's like saying, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Like if Sadiq comes in and is awesome, that helps the offense. So we can't say draft aside. It's all part of their plan. If you believe in Muji, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. And let's see what they do in the draft.
Yeah, I'm seeing some comments in here too. Like M. Villette says we call that simping in here. Joe Blewett, like some of the comments are hilarious. Like Spencer's not going to comment on the double ISO play, but the play we got 9. It's just like it is crazy. But they haven't done enough to help. Like draft aside, like the draft is a huge piece. You still
have 4 picks in the top 44.
Yeah, you still have, third, fourth, I don't know however you label it, fourth wave of free agency. Like, at what point is it second wave, third wave, fourth wave? I don't know. After the draft, let's just call it fourth wave. Like
a trade too, right? Brian Thomas Jr. rumors, all that.
Yeah. So what happens if they draft Vega at 16, they bring in Brian Thomas, and they draft Sadiq at 16? You're like, oh crap, the offense is good. Like, we have half the offseason still left to go. They attack defense in free agency. I'm expecting them to attack the offense in the draft. Obviously past number 2.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. All right, well, let's get to the Kenyon Sadiq film review now, because it's funny. The last couple of years, we've done the big debate: should the Jets take a tight end or a tackle? Yeah. They've done the tackle each time. Here we are now, where the Jets could be in a spot where it's like the 4th wide receiver or Kenyon Sadiq, the first tight end, off the board. Before we even play some of the clips, real quick in about 30 seconds, where does Sadiq rank compared to Warren, compared to Loveland, compared to Bowers, who you did detailed film breakdowns on the last couple of draft cycles?
Yeah, who I hated, but he was my 6th overall player in the class, and I have receipts. So yeah, I'll be honest. I think we weren't talking about Sadiq early on in the draft prospect, and Cooper I like Cooper more than Sadiq. Just personally, like, right off the jump, I'm not touching Sadiq at 16. Me personally, it's pretty much pure hope at this point that he's going to be a good player because of the measurables and not even measurables. Like 240 is not heavy for a tight end, so it's pretty much, hey, this dude is fast. Hey, he's athletic. Hey, he has a good vertical. We're betting on upside. That's pretty much what it is. Where Loveland and Warren, all those guys, Bowers are much more well-rounded players. Sadiq is a pure projection type of swing. So me personally, I'm not taking him at 16. I'll be honest. I'll be furious if he was a pick at 16.
Wow. All right. Well, that's enough said. Let's get right to the film. Yeah. Let's see why you feel that way.
Yeah. I only have like 3 negative plays on him, but we'll talk about it. It's just like people will say, oh, well, if a linebacker's on him, he could run routes good enough that he'll beat them. Nah, I don't know. I'm going to show some positive of the route running. Obviously, I have to show some positive, but I just didn't see the nuance with the route running. I think he had 1 catch over 20 yards. He had like 500-600 yards. So the production's not necessarily there. I don't think the nuance was there. He could block in space, but in line, you're not going to have him. You're not going to want him to block. And I think I just saw a article that was talking about tight ends, and I think tight ends in the NFL average blocking like 60% of the time. So he's going to be in line at times, and you don't want him in line at times. But then if you do split him out wide, I wanted to see more chops of him as a receiver to say, oh yeah, well, he can't be in line, but he could play receiver. You still have to be able to run routes really good as a receiver. I just didn't think the nuance was there with him. So at 16, I do not see it at all with the Jets. It's a pure swing on upside. You can't play him in line, but if you play him out wide as a receiver, he doesn't run routes really well. And I know I'm going to show some positive of the route running, but it's different when you're playing Oregon versus who is this first game against, or whoever this game is against, Penn State or I watched Penn State, Indiana, Minnesota, USC, Texas Tech, and Indiana. So it's different. He feels like more of like a 2nd round pick who you're betting on upside, but 16 is, in my opinion, way too high for Sadiq.
Here we go, folks. Break it down. Where's Sadiq in the formation here?
Yeah, so he's inside slot right here, and this is actually he has. And again, like, people are gonna be like, "Oh my!" Like you contradicted yourself. You're showing good routes. Like, yeah, he has the ability to run routes. It's snap by snap consistency, and I think that's largely missing with Jordan Tyson's evals. Is Jordan Tyson is a very good highlight type of player. Snap by snap, the nuance isn't there, and he dances a lot in the routes. Like, I could show you 10, 15 really good routes of Jordan Tyson, but I can also show you 10 or 15 really bad routes of Jordan Tyson. So, I can show positive plays, and I'm going to show them, obviously. Like, we try to do the positive and the negative, but he's right here against linebacker, safety, whatever it is, and you're just going to see some of the athleticism. Now, I get it. Listen, he's rocked up, he's yoked, but like 240 is really small for a tight end. So he's pretty much going to be like a move receiver, power slot type of guy. But yeah, I get it. 4.36, really good vertical, etc. And we'll see some of that in the positives. I have 4 positives, 3 negatives, so it'll be a little bit quicker. But he's right here, inside slot. And he runs like a corner route here, and you just see some of the speed he has. Obviously, tracking the ball for a touchdown. Does a good job of getting the feet in bounds there. But like I said, I think he only had like 500-600 yards, so really not the most yardage. But this is a decent route, or a pretty solid route. He closes ground to looks like a linebacker with shortened strides, so you can see he's not full stride here. It's like more of like a half stride. half stride. That's more a little bit more of a full stride. So full stride and then half stride. So he's just trying to not close too much ground on the linebacker. If you took another full stride there, he's more in range of the hand. So you don't want to do that. So stem towards him, hold him, break to the outside. He goes to chop down on that outside arm of the linebacker. Speed takes over, tracks the ball, touchdown. So again, is this the best linebacker in the world? I don't think so. Looks like Minnesota game, but still a good route versus what he was presented there. So you could see again some of the upside with the catch and some of the speed he has. But again, rep by rep, I just don't see the route running for him. This is a good one though. Again, there is potential there, but I'm not taking pure potential bet at 16. And if you come at me with Reese's pure potential at 2. I'm not making that argument. Like Reese, I think he's more developed than people think he is. But bottom slot right here, this is a touchdown, and this is a good push off from him against this safety. And it's a decent like a jab step, or if you want to call it like a pressure step right there from him, which we'll talk about a little bit in a second. But good job, right? With like the over route, stems to the inside breaking route. So initially takes off to the inside. Good job. DB, linebacker, safety, whatever he is starting to shuffle to the inside. So he jabs at him, stabs at him, or if you want to call it a pressure step like I do, he pressure steps to hold the DB or whatever he is. Hand comes out right here, pushes off. You can see the push off right there, creates some separation, and then speed takes over again, and you're not really going to be able to run him down. So good touchdown on the over route with the hand usage, and then the pressure step there as well. Now this is just his ability in the seam and just to be like a seam stretcher because he's a 4.36 speed. He's to the top slot right here, and you're going to see him push vertical in the seam. Obviously, uncontested for the most part. I don't know what the hell that safety is doing, but here we are. And this is just like pure. It's just like, okay, he's kind of fast here and he could leap. But you're going to see from the other angle here, even though this is a positive play, I don't love how he catches this ball. And this is one where, Spencer Green or whatever is going to be like, oh, he caught the ball for a touchdown. Everything is positive. You could be negative on a positive play, right? So here, just in terms of being nitpicky, what you have to do, the problem with him here in terms of this catch is you see how wide his hands are. You see yep. Black glove. You don't want to clap the ball. When you clap the ball, it tends to, even if you do get your hands on the ball, you want to have your hands like more of a diamond, so you're catching the nose of the ball. So even just based on like, hey, it's a 50-mile-per-hour ball, if it does squirt through a little bit, you still have your hands in the middle of the ball. The problem is when you clap the ball, it tends to be late, and you're catching like the midpoint of the ball, and it tends to squirt through. So I don't love the hands here. Again, they're wide. He claps on it, and it looks like he kind of like uses his helmet to secure the catch. Obviously, you want to attack the ball. You want to fully extend towards it, and you want to have your hands tighter. This is he's clapping on it. I don't love it, but you see some of the ability. Like, hey, he's fast in the seam. He makes a contested catch, but overall, you could be critical on a positive play. You could be positive on a negative play. Like there's nuance to, oh, this is a great play, everything is good, or this is a negative play, everything is bad. There's nuance, and there's nuance that needs to be had on that one. This is some of the athleticism he has. Last positive play, he's right here. They run just a screen to him. He stays in the block and then obviously works outside for the screen. And this is just some of his ability, just being the explosive leaper that he is. It's undoubtable. He has high potential, but again, there just wasn't enough technique aspect where I'm going to take him at 16, right? But gets the screen, obviously just identifies the blocker, takes it to the outside, sees 17 starting to kind of break down and duck his head a little bit there. Times it, we could see, what was his vertical, Jake? Like it's like a 40-inch vertical, 41, whatever the hell it was. But like,
I think he broke a record at the combine.
Dude, look how high he is right there. Like that is like he is absurdly high. Like that is absurd how high he could jump. But again, it's projection. That's like purely, it's pretty pure projection with him. But that's ridiculous. The strength to maintain after. So let me see. Okay, negative. Him on the top right here. He's isolated, or he's not isolated because there's a running back there. So like technically he's not isolated, but
hey, real quick, would you like to respond to Spencer Green, who says bad hurdle there, huh? Blewett? ?
He's joking. I would say no. I think Spencer's a little bit of a troll. Like he's joking there. No, it's not. It's a good hurdle. Like I don't know. I said it was a good. Yeah, I think he's kidding. Okay, we'll get back to it. I want to have some battles with Spencer Green now. Is that what it is?
No, Spencer Green is your classic keyboard warrior. He'll talk trash, and then he'll never actually show his face and call in. I think Spencer Green's actually been offered money by other listeners to show his face, and he won't. So it tells you all you need to know.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.